What's going on, Aubrey? What's shaking?
Oh, I have a question for you, Lindsay. This is a good one. I can't wait to hear your answer. Ready? We're
I'm
diving right
ready.
in.
I'm ready.
What do you hope will change about American culture in the next few years? Mm,
Well, usually when I get a question like this, it's about what I've most recently thought about or consumed.
totally.
So I just listened to an episode today of The Daily about single family homes and how expensive it is, how hard it is to buy a home now in the
Yes.
US, right? And how that's changed since the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. So I hope in our culture we find a way to make it again accessible for people, average people, like middle income people to own a home.
Oh, I agree so
Yeah.
much. I have friends that are in that, mostly the children of my friends, but are right there where they would love to buy a home and
Yep.
absolutely cannot get approved for the type of loan. It's just so expensive for even small homes.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have a whole debate going on. We have this term NIMBY, right? That I've been reading a lot about this term, the not in my backyard crowd, the crowd that
Oh,
doesn't want more housing built. They don't want multifamily housing units built. And then we have the side where people want, we need more supply, right? We don't have enough housing supply in our culture.
mm-hmm.
But when we add more
Interesting.
supply, the value of all of our homes, those of us who have bought homes, obviously goes down. So I hope this issue gets resolved in our
Yes,
country.
and that's new for me, this acronym NIMBY.
It
So I'm
is
glad you brought that up. Yes, I haven't
interesting.
heard that
Oh,
before,
it's
and I'm
all
going
over the
to.
news these days.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news all that often.
Well,
It makes it makes me upset, and I'm so busy.
let's say it's
That's my
all over
excuse.
like news commentary, like
Hmm.
podcasts and the Wall Street
Hmm.
Journal. Like, yeah,
Interesting.
it's really interesting. So
Yes.
guys, follow this debate about housing in the US because honestly, if we don't solve this, we have big problems. So
Yes. Oh
yeah.
man. So you guys noticed the question I asked Lindsay, I was asking her what she hopes will change.
Mm-hmm.
And we very recently got a very thoughtful question that we covered in a previous episode, 1891, because the
Mm-hmm.
question was about want, need, and hope.
Mm-hmm.
And we shared want and need, the grammar we use, lots of examples. So check out 1891 if you missed it. Make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss any of our amazing
Of
episodes.
course.
Yes. But we promised a deep dive into hope because the grammar is a little different when you talk about what you hope for or what you hope to
Yes.
do. So today we're going to share that. We're going to talk about hope.
Yeah, and guys, this is a key connection skill
Oh,
with
yeah.
your coworkers, your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors. It's energizing to talk about the things that you hope for because it actually points to the next generation, your children, their children, right? We can make some big statements here when we use the word hope. So we want by the time we finish
Yes.
today, we want you to be able to do that. Make some big, exciting statements about what you hope for.
Yes, or what you hope to accomplish, because this is different from what you want to do or need to do. It's bigger
It's
to talk
big.
about what you hope to do. It's more overarching, and I agree, Lindsay. This is one of the best ways to get deeper with your connections in English with friends, coworkers. So I'm excited for you guys to have this vocabulary so you can do that.
Yeah, and I also think to live a better life, guys, we
Yes.
have to live in this place. Not all the time, right? We have things I have to do. I have to take the garbage out, yes, but I should spend some time thinking about what I hope for in my life.
Definitely.
Otherwise, I could get to the end of my life and I haven't done those things that matter. Okay?
Exactly. All right, so let's dive into the grammar here because this is a little tricky. There are three different grammar structures when we use this verb hope. So, first of all, of course, it's also a noun, right? I have hope, right?
Mm,
This is sort of
sure.
abstract idea, but we're talking about the verb to hope for something. So, the first grammar structure is with an infinitive, right? When we
Yes.
say what I hope is, and then you have to have an infinitive, which in English is to and the verb. So, like, what I hope is to leave behind a legacy. And
Yeah.
your infinitive is to leave.
And Aubrey, to you, when someone says that, does that mean leave behind money like an estate, or does that mean leave behind an idea or leave behind something you've built? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I think it means more like your reputation, like what
Okay.
people think about you, how they feel
Mm-hmm.
about you, what you have accomplished. That is all your legacy.
Yes.
I don't think money. I
Yeah.
think, honestly, I think about the movie or the play Hamilton because there's a
Huh.
big number where he talks about his legacy and what is a legacy? What does it mean to leave behind a legacy? Which was a
Interesting.
really big deal for him. And he wrote all all of these essays. He has a big legacy, but
Yeah.
also, anyway, long story short, his legacy is actually not very impressive because he died in a duel that was very foolish, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so it is interesting to think about what's your legacy? What will you leave behind?
Oh, that is so, this is big. I love these
It
big
is big.
questions, right? Ask yourself
Mhm.
this, guys, when you finish today's episode, what do you want your legacy to be? Right? That's big.
Yes.
Here's another phrase. What I hope is to earn $1 million. And actually, $1 million is not that much money these days, right? We talk about them, well, in the US, just to make sure that we keep ourselves in
For
check
sure.
here. But a lot of times when a typical American thinks about retirement, they think about reaching that point of having $1 million in the bank. And I think by the time we retire, it's not going to be a ton of money.
With inflation,
With
right? It just
inflation,
isn't that much
yes, it's
anymore.
not that
But I
much
could
anymore.
imagine someone saying this sentence, maybe not so much like what I hope to accomplish, end all be all, more like, okay, I'm starting this small business, and maybe by the end of the year, what I hope is
Right.
to earn $1 million, right?
Yes.
Because when we use hope this way with an infinitive, it is smaller. You know what I mean? We're not talking about big open schemes, right? It's a little smaller.
Right, exactly. So it's a common benchmark, right, that people might
Yes,
say. Love it.
totally.
Okay, is there another structure here, Aubrey, where we could
Yes.
use hope? What is it?
So the second one is where we say, what I hope is that, followed by subject, verb. So for example, what I hope is that she will be kind, right? So we have
Mm.
that whole chunk. What I hope is that, and that's always followed immediately by the subject and the verb.
Yes, I love it. And then another example, guys, make sure you're writing this down, okay? What I hope is that everyone will get along. What kind of context, Aubrey, would we say this in? Like when,
I
what kind of situation? What
I
do you
think I
think?
just said this yesterday because I took my
Okay.
kids to another friend's house and she had all of her kids plus some cousins. So there were a whole bunch of kids,
Jeez.
new kids. And I'm pretty sure I said, what I hope is that everyone will get along. Call me if not. I'll come pick up my
You
kids if
sound
there
a
are
little
issues.
like concerned there. Like,
Yes,
what I
a little
hope.
bit. What I hope is, yeah, I'm
Was there a
clearly not
troublemaker
sure.
in the group that you were worried about?
My sweet little son Will is sometimes a troublemaker. He has ADHD and
Uh,
he's just sort of easily distracted and all over the place and full of
oh.
energy, very hyper. So sometimes he can be a little tough. Sweetheart.
That's funny. I love that. Okay, so we have a third way that we throw this in with some grammar. What is it, Aubrey?
Yes, the third grammar structure we use for hope, the verb hope, is what I hope for is, and then that is immediately followed by a noun. For example, what I hope for is world peace.
Or what I hope for is to get this job, right? What I hope for
Yes.
is to get the, it seems wordy. For is to. Oh my
For
gosh.
sure. I think it's more natural just to say, I hope I get this job.
Yeah.
Right? The
Right.
what I hope for is very formal.
Yeah.
We don't speak this formally, usually at work or with friends. This is the grammar, but we often will shorten it and just say, ooh, hope I get this job.
Yeah, I love it. When I think about this concept of hope, I think of Obama's campaign. I think that Obama ran on just that was his slogan, just
The
hope
word
or
hope.
something. Right, it
Yes.
was.
He
Yeah.
had
And
the big colorful posters and it just said
right.
hope in giant block letters. Loved
Yes.
those posters so much.
So powerful. I remember I think we all just cried when he got elected. I know I did. When he was first elected, was that 2008? I want to say
Yes,
2008.
2008, because I had just moved to New York City, or maybe 2010.
I was
But
in New
anyway,
York at the time
yes.
too. Yeah, exactly. So such a powerful concept, right? Especially when you're speaking to different cultures who need to be represented. Don't underestimate hope, right?
Yes, definitely. Right. And it was very related to voting because so many minorities weren't voting at the time because they felt like their voice wouldn't
Yeah.
matter, their one vote wouldn't matter. And
Yeah.
Obama really got the message out that, yes, your vote matters, your voice matters. And I think people
Yes.
really rallied. I think there were record turnouts at the polls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff. Okay, Aubrey, is there anything else our listeners need to know
Yeah,
about
there's
this
one
hope?
other sort of chunk that we want to share, which is all I hope for. You're going to hear this. It's the exact same grammar structure for what I hope for, but the meaning is slightly different. It's bigger, right? You're
Bigger.
never going to say, like, all I hope for is to get this job. That's not big enough. You
Yeah,
might
it's not big
say,
enough. Yeah.
all I hope for is that my family knows I love them. Something big and overarching.
Or all I hope for is equality, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So I feel like, these are things people might say at the end of their lives, right? They might ask you to write that
Hmm.
in their eulogy or something.
You could definitely say, right, all I hope for is that I've left a legacy. All I've
Yes.
hoped for is my children will remember me, in a
Right.
positive light, something like
Exactly.
that.
I love it. I love it. This is so important because we're giving our listeners, guys, you now have the tools to talk about the big things in life that really matter. What should we leave our listeners with today, Aubrey?
Yes, I agree so much with what you said, Lindsay, that talking about what you hope to accomplish and what you hope for is such a powerful way to build deep connections.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the grammar is tricky, so I'm glad we were able to share these grammar structures so you can break it down and make sure that you're as much as possible trying to say it with proper grammar, but don't let the grammar worrying about this keep you from having these conversations. It's okay if you make little mistakes here and there. What's really important is that you do talk about this with people in English.
People that matter. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So do you do any vision boarding, Aubrey?
I don't. I know you and I have talked about this. You do. I really should, though. I feel like it would be very helpful for me.
They work. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, it's so magical. They work, especially if you put your vision board right in front of you where you see it every day in your office. There's
Yes.
something about that. I don't know if I believe in manifesting in those words, right? It's kind of
Hmm.
strange, but there is something about knowing what you want in your life, saying what you hope for, putting it on paper. It does end up eventually happening because you create the conditions,
I
right?
do think I manifested something recently. I'll just share very quickly.
Okay.
I was wanting to try stand up comedy and I just went to an open mic stand up show. But what I did was I created a little fake poster that was like me as the headliner with the time for just this open mic show. And I sent it to all my friends to sort of invite them. And it looked like a real comedy show with me headlining just to be funny. And then I went into the open mic. Lots of friends came. It was fun. And at the end, a lady who books for real comedy shows booked me for like a paid comedy gig. So by making that fake poster, I manifested that happening.
There is something to that. There is something to
Right?
that, right? So you're spending that brain energy thinking about it happening, imagining it, and then you set up the conditions, you get the people
Yes.
around you, and it does happen. So,
Well,
guys,
and it did make me work harder, right? I like put way more effort into it because of this joke where I was like, oh, this is going to be a legit comedy show. There's something to that
there's
where you
something to
set the
that.
bar higher for yourself and then you put in more effort.
I love it. So that was kind of your vision board, right? That was
Yes,
sort of
right.
your vision board. So good. So good. So, guys, what's on your vision board, right? Have this thought as you finish today's episode. What are you envisioning for your future? What do you hope for? So good. Love that. I'm going to go think about that right now.
Yes, right. Awesome, guys. And let us know on social media. This will be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Come and comment on YouTube. Let us know, what is your vision? What do you hope for? What do you hope to accomplish? We want to hear it.
Love it. So good, Aubrey. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks,
Bye.
Lindsay. Bye.